I feel good. I feel fine. It's all right to be okay. It's okay. It's time for the high five. My name's Nate Manning. I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and today we're going to tell you how you can say no to your merchants and when you need to. A lot of us are probably failing at this. Let me bring up the three men in payments. I hear the activity in the background going on from sunny Florida. They're on the Gulf side. You know, living a little life over there, having a little fun in the greater Tampa area. Mr. Brian Linke. Brian, sir, how are you? How is life in that beautiful sunshine state?
You know, Nate, people live worse.
Yep.
It's amazing. The weather here is just amazing. I mean, it's nothing short of amazing. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Atlanta next week. Although I checked the weather report, doesn't look so good there. But
haven't looked yet. But he's talking about Paint the Town with PaperTech next Tuesday, April 25th. If you haven't signed up, go to join.papertech.com. You can join us. But let's not too much downers on the weather. We'll figure that out. People need to come prepared, and I should actually look at the weather. So I haven't even done. Mr. Danny Shard, I'm going to guess you have not looked at the weather for the greater Atlanta area, but I'm going to guess that you've been on the golf course in the Mountain High.
I have not looked at the weather in Atlanta yet, although I should. I'm going to spend a little bit of time outside. But, Brian, we don't really need to worry about the weather. We're going to be stuck in meetings and conference rooms and in the big ETA conference for most of the time anyway. So, or at the PPT event, which is all indoors. So I think we're going to be okay.
I think we'll be all right. But, it's good to be prepared for those morning walks when we're out there. And today – we're going to go right into it. Let me, I just realized I brought up didn't bring up my slides. Give me a second while I do that. I actually did prepare. I have a few slides. There we go. All right, up on the screen. Today we're talking about just say no. And the concept of this is sometimes we say we fire our merchants, but sometimes we have to say no to our merchants. So I'm going to bring up three things, and then I'm going to come to Brian and Danny for a little conversation about it. So we should say no when you don't make any money, when you won't make any money. So there are two aspects of that because, we want to make money. That's absolutely something we want to do. Danny, I would say one of the things that we struggle with is making sure we do the work ahead of time to make sure the pricing is right. And then two, if something went wrong, making sure that accounts are profitable. And we shouldn't feel bad about doing that. How do you suggest doing that before and during a merchant's life with you and making sure that you're actually making money and saying, no, I'm not going to make money. This isn't, a freebie.
Yeah. it's a conversation that I have very often with partners, and the reality is that merchants should know as well. Being in business, your cost of business is continuing to go up, right? Cost of products are going up. Your rent for your space is going up annually, most likely. There's a lot of these scenarios where it just costs more to continue doing business. But for some reason in payment processing, we seem to, at least the majority, seem to feel that our costs can never go up to a merchant, right? So while depending on the scenario, our margins continue to be diluted while the merchant's not impacted, although they're constantly adjusting their pricing to accommodate their vendors and things like that. So I definitely agree with that, Nate. It's not something we should feel bad about. We should be transparent with merchants and explain our position, explain how the pricing works, what the updates are happening, and what's causing maybe an increase or something like that. Now, if we're doing programs like cash discount or dual pricing and those kinds of things, kind of a moot point, right? Where we've got enough margin in there, although we will see margins kind of go down as interchange costs go up on certain card types. We've got enough built in there where it's not going to impact us that much, and a merchant's not going to see that. Just another benefit of going to a program like that, as opposed to being on traditional pricing where you're constantly going to see that adjustment. And we shouldn't feel bad about that. Things are constantly increasing. And so we just have to be able to communicate that to a merchant and not hide behind it or try to change it.
Danny kind of stole the thunder as I was going to go to Brian on this, but Brian, you should absolutely just say no to the race to zero. And a big place of that is to make sure that the edge pricing world and the revolution that's happening in almost a decade now has made us the opportunity to create enough margin. But you just got to say no to the fact that, yes, you say you're only paying effective rate of 1.2%. That's not going to be okay. This is the opportunity. And just say no if the merchant isn't willing to. You have to be willing to walk away.
Sometimes when I first started doing this, there wasn't any cash discount. It was definitely a race to the bottom. But I also say that back in the day, I mean, those were real salespeople, right? I mean, to sell merchant services back then was difficult, right? It was hard. Point of sale systems were just about ridiculous. I mean, you're charging people $15,000-$20,000 for a system now that we're giving away. I mean, it's crazy. But the thing with merchants, the agents have to, I think, come to grips with. Sometimes it's okay just to be honest with a merchant and tell them, like, hey, you know what, this is, if you're not willing to do the cash discount, you're not willing to do the 4%, I understand. I'm not, it's not for everybody. I'm not going to push it on you. But, sometimes it's okay to tell a merchant, hey, you know what, if you're not willing to do that, you've got a great deal. And if it's me, I'd stay where I am. And if you put it that way, the other thing is by doing that, I've actually gotten a couple of referrals from merchants that I didn't sell because I was honest with them about what they, like you said, 1.2%. Okay, it's just not worth your time. Hey, you've got a great deal. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, the phone rings and it's that person who says, you know what? I want you to call this guy. I really appreciate your honesty. So, it can work both ways.
I like it. You're right. And treating a small business owner like you want to be treated because you're a small business owner. And we've got to walk in saying, look, as Danny said, hey, all of us have expenses. There are a lot of things that we have that are commonalities that we can work together on these things. So next, I want to say no when they treat you like whatever you want to put in there, it as a person. Now, there is a caveat, and I'm going to start with Brian on this. Sometimes you allow depending how much money you're making on an account, and Brian, you have, I know, some relationships. When they make us a lot of money, you take a lot more bleep. But the fact is, you have to respect yourself and set up boundaries and make sure that your life is, and it's different stages of your life. There are just times when if you're just starting out, you may have to take a couple merchants that are going to treat you like crap. But at the end of the day, you have to set yourself up respect. How do you just say no, and how do you choose who to say no for people that treat you and don't give you the respect you deserve, Brian?
Nate, I'm a crotchety old man now. You know what I mean? I'm
I vouch for that.
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm always on edge. But I'm kidding. Here's the thing.
Tipping point is near.
Okay,
It's going to happen at any point. Never know when it's going.
absolutely, right. But my patience is certainly diminishing to nothing. But anyway, the thing about it is, forget merchant services. Okay, in your life, okay, you don't. No one treats everyone the same. Right? You don't, your Danny's got 2 kids. I guarantee you, and I'm not there parenting them, but you don't treat both kids exactly. They're 2 different people, right? I've got 3 boys. I don't treat them the same. Okay, you don't treat anybody in your life the same. It's the same thing with a merchant. Sure, you know what? A couple of my merchants, yeah, they're making me a lot of money. Am I going to treat them the same as the guy who's making me $14 a month? Of course not, right? I mean, of course not. Am I going to give them now? I'm going to be polite. I'm an adult, right? I'm going to be polite. I'm a professional, right? So I'm not going to be rude to anybody. But you're not going to, you don't treat anybody the same in your life. So I don't know if it's any different. Sure, again, you're making more money. Obviously, you're going to pay more attention. But that's just to me. That's just kind of common sense.
Well, Danny, I'm going to come to you on this. This even gets into our world as the middleman, as the the foundation of so many other businesses. We don't sell direct to merchant, but our thousands of partners do, and their partners and their sub-partners. And what happens sometimes, we have said no to offices that treat us poorly. We have said no to offices that don't show us respect. And if we can create a cycle of respect and treating each other with respect, I think it makes it a little easier. Hey, I know how I should be treated, and I need to walk away from this. How do you make those decisions, Danny? Because we take some of the worst calls, and not we. I shouldn't put myself. I occasionally get one, but you guys and your team, you guys get some pretty angry partners and merchants sometimes calling. And how do you choose when to say no and say, look, I'm drawing a line in the sand. You can't treat me this way.
Yeah. Luckily it doesn't happen very often. Most in this industry are pros, right? And they all understand that we're all after the same common goal. That's building a strong portfolio, making money, and creating a good name for ourselves out there, right? And doing the right thing. It's pretty quick and easy to identify those that are not willing to do that, and that's actually an easier conversation than we would think, right? And probably for the same conversation that we're talking about with partners having with merchants, right? If it's an unhealthy relationship in ways where the merchant's just unrealistic, unprofessional, money aside, and I say that lightly because hey, if the merchant's making you $5,000 a month or something like that, I think you'll probably do almost anything to maintain that account, regardless of how the merchant's being. But yeah, there is always going to be a breaking point, and when it gets to be unhealthy, you gotta cut the cord in some ways, right? And that's not a bad thing, right? The loss of revenue, can be made up for the improvement in your mental status at that point. If they're just killing you to the point that it's not making sense for you to continue the relationship. And the same with us, right? We have had partners in the past that have just not been a great fit for PayProtect for a variety of reasons, whether it was their business approach or lack thereof, their integrity and how they operate, just their communication with our staff and our systems, and not really seeing that vision that this is a true partnership, right? Our piece of this is to provide the best solutions and to service and support everything that you need to be done to help you build a portfolio. And your job as a partner is to go out there, drive business, and work with us on each of these scenarios. But if we're missing the part of this, that this is a partnership, and we're not in this together kind of thing, and it starts to go kind of sour, it's okay to cut the cord. It's okay to move on, and we've done it. And I think it's something that you should all think about if you're currently having a difficult merchant, and it's not just the issues that come from day-to-day payment processing with POS solutions or funding or anything like that. If you're having issues constantly with the merchant, and it's affecting your mental state, kind of rethink that relationship a little bit. And it's okay to do that.
Let me just add one thing to that. Okay, here's the thing. And I don't have any stats to back this up, but I'm just telling you, being in sales for 60 years of my life, okay, the people that you're making the money on the 5,000, like Danny just said, the $5,000 a month, okay, compared to the guy you're making the $14. Normally, okay, the people that you're making it, those are professional people, right? They get it. They're processing more. Their businesses are thriving. Most of the time, those aren't the people that you have to worry about. It's the $14 a month guy that's causing the problem. It's the agent that submits one deal every 6 months that's causing the problem. There are people that, sure, are they, the guys that are submitting, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 deals a month, are they sometimes a headache? Okay. I mean, a headache, fine. Are they a problem? Absolutely not. I
That's
mean,
right.
you're just dealing with, just more things. And but it's the guy who's submitting one deal every 6 months that sometimes we just have to see
And
ya.
that's true for the merchants. It's true for the partner.
That's
And
right.
Right.
you have to set those boundaries. And sometimes you may grow. I hope you grow to the size where you can see an account that's making you $5,000. And if it's making your life miserable, you can cut it. That's what your goal is to get to that point. When most of us aren't to that place where somebody who's making $5,000 a month for us we can do that. But we want to get to that place. We have to know where we are and realize that people only respect you when you respect yourself. And so when you walk in and are honest and say, look, I can't do it for this price. I'm not going to make enough money. That is showing respect for yourself. When you walk in, he says, you can't treat me like this. I'm going to have to walk away. That's showing respect. And lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is you have to sometimes say no. And this is showing respect to your merchant when you don't have the right solution. Quit trying to BS that you have the right solution, or that if they ask for something, you don't have, and it's very unusual, but don't try to oversell. What we see a lot of times, this is true, and I'm going to come to Danny first on this, is we see a lot of people trying to get themselves into like Paintywares and saying that it does, a great kitchen display system, or they'll be able to do online ordering with your Paintyware, and overselling because they want the extra $300 bonus up front. When that, in the long term, when you say no in the right spot and helping out your merchant, that really sets your reputation up. That's something we talked about last week. But we see this. I dare say this is probably, of the three things we talk about, what I see the most is partners, and not always but just not knowing, or not, and saying something that they don't know, and not walking away and saying, no, I don't think we have a solution that does that. And I think when you set that honesty, that helps a lot. But what do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, solution fitting should be our number one focus, and trying to force a square peg in a round hole so you can get the deal and probably have headaches on the back end. You're not doing anybody any favors, right? Be realistic. Our product suite continues to grow, right? With all the POS solutions that we've got, we're about to add a couple new terminals. Dual pricing is on the horizon, right? I mean, all these things are out there, and that we've got access to, and you've got access to sell. But as you're talking with a merchant, and maybe they're listing off their dream scenario of features and things that they want, it's definitely important that we be realistic with the solution that we're setting them up with, and make sure we set those expectations so these merchants know what to expect, but hopefully get them 100% there, or 95% there. If there's something that they're asking for that just can't be done on any of these systems, be transparent about it, right? Make sure we get in front of it. And don't try to force systems that just aren't good fits for a merchant. We see it happen all the time, right? We have increased, Nate use Payneware as an example. We have increased commission for Payneware. A lot of partners want to focus on selling that system, but it's just not a good fit for every single merchant out there. Don't make it, or don't force it if you don't have to. So use some of our other solutions, and have a better experience for your merchant.
Well, I can tell you this too, that I don't mean to interrupt you, Dan, but before before we had the POS Pros team, our point of sale division. Well, we didn't have one, right? We had whatever, right? We had agents going out there telling merchants whatever they wanted to hear, and our success rate as far as making that happen for a merchant was, I mean, it was bad. I mean, we were getting 7, 8, 9 systems out of 10 back, and then we the POSLead.com and the POS Pros team has obviously helped that. So we have some other ways of getting some people here to help you, solve a solution. But yeah, we see it a lot. I mean, not a lot, but the pay anywhere thing, yeah, it pays more. There's no doubt about it on the bonus side, but like Danny said, it's not the right fit for everyone. It's just not, and you just sometimes have to, put the Ingenico Desk 3500 in there, and you know what, make your residual and move on to the next.
Well, and don't make a decision that's going to lose you money long term to make the short money. And that's what a lot of times I think we grab for something. And so when we want to learn to say no to things that don't make us money, one of the things that doesn't make us money is getting a merchant that's unhappy that you promise something that you can't deliver. And that is always going to be true. And usually, think back to our conversation last week, the reputation you have with that merchant could lead to 5, 10, 15 more deals in the next several years, maybe even faster. And if they're not happy and they quit with you in the first month or 2 months, one, very unlikely they're ever coming back, and two, they're never going to recommend you. And you just said no to more deals when you could have said just no and had respect. I'm sorry, I don't have a system that does that. Let me know if you can find someone. And then when they realize, I think a lot of times they're going to come back to you because they realize they don't really want that. That's not what they really want. So as we close out and we come back and think through the things we say no about, just say no when merchants absolutely say, you know what? I'm going to make money on my accounts. Number two, I'm not going to let you treat me like a complete beep. And number three, I'm going to say no and respect your time, Mr. and Mrs. Merchant, because we don't have the solution that fits you. As we close out this time and we think about being in Atlanta, a week from today, we'll be in Atlanta. A week, from to last night, a week from last night, it's our party. What would you say, Mr. Brian Linky, to close us out, to tell our partners how much we love them and what we'd love to see them there?
It's always a good time when you're with the Paper Tech Boys. So, if Atlanta's a pretty easy place to get to for most people. I think that's kind of why they moved it from Vegas, which was not a popular decision on my.
It's back in.
But it's an easier place for a lot of people to get to, bigger airport. If you have, if you're thinking about what to do this weekend, we'll see you in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Danny Shard, how about you? Closing comments as we just say no to going over 30 minutes on a conversation.
Shard. Yeah, today's topic is not an easy one for us, right? Brian and I were actually talking to a partner this morning, and Brian said, we don't say no a lot, right? So we like saying yes. We like helping you guys close business, making exceptions, doing everything we can to help you build your portfolio. And I think today's topic is really just as we try to say yes as often as possible, just kind of reminding us that it's okay to say no every now and then, because sometimes we kind of get in that mode that I say no, I'm losing opportunities and I just need to do things. And, it's a good reminder that it's okay every now and then, depending on the scenario. So, we're excited for Atlanta. Like Brian said, always a good time with the PPT crew. And we've got a lot of partners that are showing to attend that get together that we're having on, is it Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
So, we're looking forward to seeing all of you in Atlanta and whoever's going to attend. And if you're not going to be there, hit me up and maybe we can connect another time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. As we say, high five, everybody. We'll see you next time. High five. Cheers, everybody.
See ya.